for the Untranslatable podcast.
No, numero 255.
Yes, sir.
I could not say that in Spanish.
Numero, oh yeah, me either. 255. In German for you. There we go. 255 coming at you. We are going to talk about the importance of exploration in your 20s. And I am on the last leg of my 20s.
Exploration or travel, you mean?
Both.
Okay.
I think the importance
last leg. You're on the last toe. Pinky toe.
Yep. One more year, my man. That's it.
Yeah. I got 2 years left.
Yep.
Full 2 years.
Enjoy them while you can, Jared.
So I'm really going to make the most of it.
Enjoy them while you can.
Would you like to play a game? And not in the jigsaw, I'm going to cut your fingers off kind of way.
Or my toes. I'd like to keep my toes, too. But yes, we can play a game.
Look at this camera. Why is it primarily on me? And I can't even see your shoulder.
Who needs my shoulders when we got both of your shoulders, Jared?
Let's play, though, a game of... oh, shoot. I'm trying to remember which one is the right button. Let's guess and hope I get it right.
Is that better? Is that better?
Read the apology.
There we go. That is better, I think. Okay.
Do you want to play a game of Rate the Apology?
Of course I do.
Okay. Let's do it. So, Chad, this is a classic racist apology.
Here we go.
Actually, I can just play it. I didn't even realize the video was there.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, this is the incident, not the apology.
Okay.
There might be some. I don't want to hear
warning.
news people talk.
Disclaimer: there could be some.
Let me just read it. I don't want to hear these news people talk. Issaquah, Washington.
I'd rather hear you talk anyways,
Yeah. A Sammamish man apologized after his racist rant against a Lyft driver was caught on video and went viral. The man emailed King 5, I think, on Friday after the story aired Thursday night, showing video taken in Issaquah by the Lyft driver. The footage garnered national attention after it was posted and shared on social media. In his email, the man told King 5, I have never said the things... I should have never said the things I said, nor acted like a complete idiot. He didn't deserve that. Nobody does. I had too much to drink and lost control of my tongue. And I said horrible things that I totally regret. In the video, the man repeatedly yells at the driver, shouting racist terms at him. The woman he's with, who is also recording, tells him to stop. The driver can be heard in the video telling the passenger to wear their masks.
Oh, no, not one of those.
Towards the end of the video, the man threatens to urinate in the driver's car.
Oh, jeez, really?
Lyft personally banned the man from using their service.
That's probably good.
Racism would not be tolerated and offered support for the driver.
Mm-hmm.
The man's employer posted on Facebook saying he has been fired. In addition, King 5 learned Friday that the woman he was with lost her job too.
Oh, I don't know if that's fair.
Her employer announced on social media that they let her go after a careful review, quote unquote. The company has not responded to King 5's request.
I don't know how I feel about that, Jared. I wonder, I mean, I just don't think that's necessarily fair. Now, if she would have been saying, things as well, and I haven't seen the video, so I don't really know, but if she wasn't saying anything that, or if she was telling him to stop, the fact that she loses her job because of it, I think, is a little ridiculous, a little asinine. But yeah, I don't know. I've never understood that though. When people try to say, "Well, I was just drunk or I was too intoxicated," it's like, in my opinion, I mean, you and I, we've had our fair share of a couple brewskis back in the day. We've been there before.
Yeah.
As in, we've been intoxicated before. Not that we've been saying racist slurs before. But the whole thing here is, Jared, is that. You can't use, in my opinion, you can't use that as an excuse. And for a lot of people, when they drink and they get intoxicated, I think in some ways they're even more their true self. So if you're a good person, you'll be a better person if you're drunk.
You have less control over your words. It's not that
exactly.
It's not that the word you're just making up words, but you have less control over your true words. Let's put it that way.
So I'm sorry, but if you're an asshole and then you get drunk, you're probably going to be a bigger asshole.
Here it is. Here it is.
Let's hear it. Oh. Oh, geez, coming in hot.
Fucking sand nigger.
Oh, God.
Hey, fuck you. Yeah.
What a jerk.
Film him saying that nigger. Continue saying that.
What's the sand nigger? Okay. You know what sand
We get it.
Jeez.
Jesus, I was
Jeez.
not expecting that.
Wow.
5 minutes into the pod.
Do we need to bleep that? That was pretty bad, actually. Jeez.
Oh, here's the woman.
I'm videoing. You stop.
I know what a sand nigger is.
Oh, jeez.
She's videoing him though. Like she has her
no.
video pointed at him.
Is she the one that put the video out? Or,
No.
Okay.
But look, she's like, see, she's
Okay.
not really on the. See, she's clearly on her husband's side.
You will never drive. Yeah. You will never drive.
Are you happy now?
No?
By
No,
calling
not.
people?
No, we expected a Lyft drive home. That's what we
You're a
expected.
mile from
Just
my
put
house.
on just put on your mask.
Hey,
Just,
hold on.
God.
You can hear how drunk the guy
Right.
sounds.
And he's just
like
asking him to
slurring.
put on your mat. Oh man. Some of these people, man, I don't get
So yeah,
get it.
are you
That's sad.
are you still mad that the company decided to fire the woman? I don't know. She was clearly on the dude's side in that video.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know
Not
the
a
full
good look.
It's not. I don't know the full story.
Could you listen? If you saw this video
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, "Oh, that's Karen from HR or whatever,"
Uh-huh.
could you look at her straight in a meeting ever again after this? I don't know if I could ever respect someone after that.
I mean,
Fuck you.
oh, geez, Jared, coming in hot. This video, just turn this video off, my dude. This is just. Oh dear Lord! Just goddamn.
Coming in hot.
Jesus.
We're earning that explicit rating.
no
today. We
kidding.
haven't said anything.
I think we've used up all the F words and all the. I don't think we get any SN words. I'm pretty sure. Jeez. Oh man. That guy though. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it is a little different though. If the wife. I mean, yes, you're right. She is definitely siding with her husband.
She was very complicit to
for
me.
sure. But at the yeah.
Now,
It's
obviously
tough.
she wasn't. She didn't seem like a fan of his use of the, as we now
Right.
call it, SN word.
Yeah,
But
I guess.
she definitely was still like you should never drive Uber or Lyft again.
Right.
Or you're like
Right.
I'm getting your license plate number.
And she was probably being a jerk because this is my guess. We're just pontificating at this point. But my guess is that she was pissed off that the driver asked them both to put on their masks.
Yeah.
And then she went Karen mode. He went racist Karen mode.
Drunk
Drunk Ken. Too bad he wasn't wearing a pink polo and some khaki shorts and some what are those shoes called? The
Sperry topsiders.
yeah, the boat shoes or whatever. That's sad though. I mean, the fact that driver had to deal with that. First of all, if you ask somebody to wear, if you're using a rideshare app at this point in time, just be courteous and wear a damn mask.
Yeah.
It's for 5 minutes. It's not 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's not the end of the world. And these people who say they can't breathe, I've worn a mask on a 13-hour flight from Seoul to Detroit, and I survived it. Here I am. So I'm pretty sure you'll be able to breathe and everything will be all right.
Yeah.
That's
get
too
it.
bad.
I get it. So do you want to actually?
Yeah. So what was the apology again?
Flip it on Gator Piss.
That's how I would rate that apology, if we're being honest.
Rate the apology.
Here it is. I should have never said the things I said.
Can you try to say it in this guy's accent, please? This racist jerk. I tried to. What is it? You want me to give it a try?
I got it.
All right.
I should have never. Yeah, you got to do it.
All right. Can you tilt it my way? Let's see here.
Hold on.
His email. He told.
Right here.
Okay. I should have never said the things I said, nor acted like a complete idiot. He didn't deserve that. Nobody does. I had too much to drink, and I lost control of my tongue, and I said horrible things that I truly regret.
That's the best part. Too much to drink.
That's probably how he would say it, right? I think.
No, that's good.
And that's no disparaging
Although,
to our southern brothers and sisters, but
the
that's
funny
just.
thing is, this was in Washington State.
Oh, was it really? Oh, gee, so he probably doesn't talk like that at all.
I mean, he kind of did. We heard him.
That's
true.
true.
We only heard him say.
We only need to hear him
mostly heard
anymore,
him
but
say
yes.
SN and FU, but
Right. Oh man.
So how would you?
Well, first
flip
of
it on
all,
Gator?
you know
Jesus
what?
Christ, I keep doing that.
Rate the apology.
I mean, first of all, I mean, no. I'm just going to give it
No.
a thumbs down. That's my rating for today, Jared, is a thumbs down. You just...
I think it
don't-
started off strong.
I mean...
The first sentence is good. I should have never said the things I said nor acted like a complete
Right.
idiot. That's a good start.
Yeah. I guess the thing is that he...
Well,
yeah, it's to me, those words do not measure up
Sure.
to all the terrible words he said.
Yeah.
I get he's saying that with the first couple of sentences, but I
And
would
alcohol is one of the cheapest cop-outs. Too.
Right.
I hate
right.
that cop-out
Yep.
for
And-
anyone's behavior.
And the other thing is too is that Jared, honestly, I feel genuinely bad for this guy.
Of course.
Because
It's
why
terrifying.
would you ever say terrible things like that, especially to another person? You know, I can understand having a disagreement with someone,
Yeah.
but I just think that is the lowest of the low.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
You know, yeah.
To
And-
ever take it to that level for any
Right.
reason.
And
makes no
especially
sense.
just because someone doesn't want you to get in their car without a mask on during
I
a pandemic, which is I think that's a very fair thing to ask.
I think
you know,
he seems like he might be racist. And
just a little.
And I would say that he doesn't take kindly to someone that he probably deems, quote unquote, beneath him, telling him
Right.
what to do. I think him and probably the woman that he was with took it very personally that that the driver was, quote unquote, judging them or something,
Right.
and took it very personally to be told what to do by
Right. But then
by
to take
someone
it
like
to
that.
a racist level like that. And I think that whole SN term, I think that is also
lazy. It's a lazy. First of all, it's a super lazy racial slur.
well, let's be honest, dude. Let's keep it 100 here. It's a white person term.
of course,
Like nobody else uses that term.
No black person's gonna.
No. And no Asians are going to say that. You're not going to hear Russians say that. I don't think you're probably, it's sadly like a white American thing, I think.
Yeah, probably. Is
and
it probably? I mean, I don't hear a lot of
probably.
people say that, but
It's a terrible term. It shouldn't be said in the first place.
and once again, it's, as far as slurs go, super lazy.
Yeah.
Like it's just you take one.
So if his slur isn't lazy, is
It's
it at
just
least
a lazy
better?
one. It's like it's not even original. You just take a term that you already use for a group that you already oppress, and just add sand to it because they live in an area where there's a lot of. It's just so
Well,
generic.
The funny thing is though is that
it's like a repurposed slur
Right.
lazily.
Well, the funny thing is too though is depending on where that guy was from, he did have an accent. He could have been from a place where it's tropical and there's, you know what I mean? Like it's
I
not.
mean, he could have been
it's-
from anywhere.
Exactly. It's just, it's such a dumb,
He's like, I'm from
ridiculous
Seattle,
thing.
bro.
Right.
I don't
Right,
know
yeah.
what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
I mean, yeah.
I would
it's-
give that apology a 3.
I would say the only
a
thing.
3.
I would actually agree with you.
Okay.
I think that the only thing that would put it down below that would be if he added, I don't have a racist bone in my body.
Oh,
That's a classic.
that would put it down to a 1, I would say.
That's a classic racist move.
or does that cancel out the apology? Maybe that just cancels it out. at
Only
that
racists
point.
say they don't have a racist bone in
Right.
their body.
Right. Right. And the thing is I think a lot of people don't realize you can do something that someone else can, perceive as racist. And that doesn't mean you're a horrible person or you're a racist piece of shit or whatever,
Sure.
but
it's not binary.
right. Sometimes
You
it
address
comes from a place of ignorance, to be completely honest, I mean, I've heard stories of like some things Chinese kids have asked, or even some questions Chinese people have asked me about black people, just knowing that, a lot of them, they've never seen or met a black person before.
And your racist Czech students.
Well, right. Well, that's a whole different story. Yeah, but it's just different too, though. If you come from, and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying if you come from a more homogeneous society, people just don't know how to interact with people that come from different cultures, ethnicities, whatever.
But that has nothing to do with
so,
this guy.
Well, obviously
And I
not.
will also
Obviously not.
And I would also say that, like, I get the sense when I hear this guy's apology, I get the sense that he's like, I shouldn't have said that. I was drunk. It's not good. I definitely shouldn't have said that. But then, like, I feel like the silent but to that is like, but the guy was still an asshole. Like, I kind of feel like he still thinks that for some reason.
Right.
He's like, I shouldn't have said it, but he was an asshole. I don't know why I feel like that. And
Right.
maybe I'm putting too much on this.
No, I
I get that vibe.
I will say this though. I I think he could have given us some more context on the incident. I'm not saying it makes it right. What I'm saying is, Jared, is all we see in the video, and I'm not taking this guy's side by any means. So please hear me out on this, okay? We don't have the full context of the video. I think it would have given us, the people reading this public apology, that if it's intended to be a public one, which I think it is at this point.
So you think the
Here's what I think is that he needs to explain what happened, and then when he explains more clearly what happens, what he did wrong, and what he is going to do to rectify it. And he has not done those things. So I think if he did those things, then we would be rating this a lot higher on the apology scale.
There is a lot of confusion. I was
because look,
like, how did it get to this level?
Because I think it's also important that we know how big of an asshole this guy is.
Yeah,
that's why I say he needs to give us more context.
You see, that did go away. I wasn't expecting it to go, and I'm glad it went the way.
Yeah, because he it really seems like
I thought maybe you were saying like, who knows? Maybe the Lyft driver was like, "Hey, asshole, put your fucking mask on, dickhead."
No, I don't think that happened. What I think happened was he asked the guy to put on the mask, and I would love to hear this guy's perspective saying, well, sorry, I'm going to go with my Southern accent here, even though he's from Washington. That's right. Well, he was just being a real big jerk when he asked me to put my mask on. And then when you read that, you know immediately this dude's an idiot. So then you can already, I think, better gauge the situation. Not saying that it's good what he did, it's terrible what he did.
Sure,
but
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Essentially what you're saying, I feel like, is this apology shows no sign of self-reflection at all.
Right. Yes, it lacks that. It lacks awareness of the context of the situation.
And there's no clearer sign of lacking self-reflection than blaming it on the alcohol.
Right. And I would also say there's more than one thing he needs to apologize for. Number one, in my opinion, he needs to apologize for not being compliant and just wearing the damn mask.
Yes.
With something like that. So that's the first apology.
That shouldn't have to be asked. You're in a stranger's car.
Right.
Which is a small enclosed space.
Exactly. Right. And so that's my first issue is you put his health at danger. You don't know unless he has a negative COVID test from that day, which I doubt it. You never know. You never know.
I don't know.
And so exactly, you're using someone else's car. It'd be different if you were driving your own self home, but you're using someone else's car, which is a good thing because you're intoxicated. So clearly, you need to be in someone else's car.
At least you're not driving drunk. So kudos there.
At least you got that part right. But the other remnants of it, wear the mask. So apologize for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would say apologize for. This is what I would say. Apologize for getting that drunk. I think there's a difference between apologizing for saying I drank too much. Period.
Yeah.
But if you say I drank too much alcohol and that's why I did this, no. That does not work.
But I'm sorry for losing control.
Right. I shouldn't have drank that much, so I apologize for that, or that was my mistake, right? And then after that, you can say, and I said some terrible things that I never should have said.
Terrible, lazy, racial slurs.
well, if you say it that way, then at least then he's acknowledging he's racist.
Slurs. I was just too drunk to think of them.
I couldn't think on my feet. I was clearly on my ass in the lift, and that's why I got so irritated and angry. Wait a minute. Oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was
and the Karen sidekick was definitely not a.
Yeah, she was clearly on his side. Obviously, she wasn't dropping hard SNs,
right?
But she was clearly on his team.
Right. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad there are people out there that are like that.
Yeah, it's so in my mind, it's so simple. I try to have as little interaction as possible in a Lyft.
Right.
And so it's so easy for me.
Do you wear headphones if you're in the Lyft sometimes?
Yeah, of course.
Now are you bringing your AirPods? Well, you're probably not going anywhere.
I mean, I haven't been into a
yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time.
Michigan. We had this conversation recently.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I remember I told you, for me, it was, whenever I was in Philly. When I bought my car. And I had to go to the dealership is when I said it was.
And that was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
No, it was when I moved here. It was last year. It was last year.
Yeah. Okay. Last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you've been here longer, but okay.
It's been like a year and a half.
Okay. So, yeah. I think the last time I took a ride share was in Indonesia, in Bali, probably. I don't even remember what those are called again. Gojek, I think is what they're called.
Were they wearing masks at that point in Indonesia?
No. But they also didn't have...
That was December, right?
No, that was January.
Or
that was end of January and February.
And China had already closed down at that point.
Yep. I had just gotten out. If I would have waited 4 or 5 more days,
Trapped.
I don't know about trapped, but it would have been
harder.
a much pricier plane ticket and more complicated for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was. We didn't have any masks on but you know what? If I had a couple masks with me, and
But you had them just because of air quality, not because of...
well, I had them because of air quality, but I bought a couple. Once we were in China, I stocked up. I made a couple trips
How
out
did
to
you
the grocery
know
store.
that
I just had a feeling, man.
But how did you know mask specifically? Just because it's already a more mask culture?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just, that's what we did when we were in Beijing is we got a bunch of masks. I overpaid for them, but I still have 2 of them that I brought with me from China. One of them I hadn't opened until May or June back in the States. So I was back stateside for about 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
And there was a point in time in the States where it was difficult to get a mask.
They're just like those like disposable blue ones or whatever?
Well, white ones. They're
sure.
3M
But
ones.
that kind of
but yeah.
concept?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I would say that apology though, to rate that apology 3 out of 10.
with
Not
you
not
on
very
that. That
good.
was terrible.
A lot of room for improvement
no
on that one.
self-reflection.
Exactly. So,
Let's spread a little love.
let's do it.
First of all, have you watched, by the way, that's us giving some shout-outs. Have you watched Dave Chappelle's new little thing he put on Instagram? By the way, apparently he has an Instagram now. That was
Really? I did not know he had an Instagram.
I didn't know until I heard about him last week. He put out like a 20-minute like a stand-up thing. It wasn't comedy though, really.
Okay.
It was funny, but it wasn't really comedy. You know how he does these.
Right.
And he was telling stories. First, he told us. You should watch it first of all. But he was essentially talking about his. I won't go into his deepest detail because you haven't seen it.
Okay.
But the point of it was he was talking about his. As I mentioned to you, I've been watching Chappelle Show because
It's not on Netflix anymore,
it's
though.
not
is
on
it?
Netflix anymore, and this has something to do with it.
Okay.
Well, not this specifically, but he's talking about what
Right.
happened. So, Comedy Central struck up a deal with Netflix and HBO to put
Chappelle Show?
Chappelle Show on
Both platforms?
Yes, but Chappelle does not get paid for it. He got some sort of deal where he got paid like a nominal, like he didn't make, according to him, a lot of money off of that.
Right.
And so he got paid some nominal amount to make the episodes. But
Okay.
then Comedy Central owned it in perpetuity, the
Right.
term he used. And they could use it however they want without having to pay him because it's just theirs.
Right.
And so Dave Chappelle does all of his specials and stuff with Netflix now. And he was telling Netflix, he's like, I don't like that you agreed with Comedy Central to put this on here. It kind of feels like you're stabbing me in the back a little bit because they don't even pay me for this. So
Right.
you're essentially, going behind my back to get free stuff from me, someone that, you claim to...
Black Friday ad on my laptop. Check
when-
out our last
on
episode.
CNN?
I guess, yeah.
So when that you claim to be behind, business wise because you support all my projects, I think that's messed up that you do that because I don't get paid for that,
Right.
But you get paid for my
Right.
for my
and
work,
and they pulled it, right? Netflix
And so
did.
that's why they pulled it.
Right.
And,
Still on HBO, though, I'm pretty sure.
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
but he doesn't work with HBO, so they don't have as much of an incentive to
Right.
pull it as Netflix does.
Not going to lie, I watched a couple episodes on HBO.
I mean, I watched a couple episodes of Netflix, but that's before I knew
Right.
that Chappelle was getting screwed over. By the time I figured out, it was already off Netflix anyway. So I was
Right.
like, well, all right, they decided for me. But I thought that was cool of Netflix to do that. I want to say shout out to Netflix.
It's too bad he just doesn't get a royalty from it. It's too bad that, you know,
and I've heard. I mean, but that's like standard, like
TV procedure probably.
yeah, like this is like what Hollywood is, where it's like
Right.
They get, especially him when he was young and he started the show. I think not really with much money anyway. Oh, that's what he was saying. He started the show. His wife was pregnant. I don't know if they were married at the time, but he had a kid on the way and he didn't really have any money, and so he felt like not pressured even, but just like he didn't have a choice but to take a deal that was kind of a shitty deal.
Right.
But and he made a point to say, technically and legally, Comedy Central is not doing in Viacom, which is the bigger company that owns all these all these companies like Comedy Central and Nickelodeon.
Right.
They're not doing anything wrong legally, but like sort of morally, and they are like just
questionable practices.
justifying this bad deal that they put in place years ago to still make money off of this guy like 20 years later.
Right. Who's become like by far one of the greatest comedians.
And it's clear what they're doing because he's huge now, and they got they got essentially a legendary show for cheap that they can make money off of.
And I mean,
forever.
Chappelle's show is genius.
Exactly.
I mean, some of the stuff I was watching.
I jumped on it when I was like, I need to see this. I didn't see it when I was a kid.
Really?
I saw like bits
When
and
did you
pieces.
first start watching it?
I knew the Rick James skit and the Prince stuff. Like I'd heard of it and kind of seen it, but
Game Blouses.
I hadn't seen the show.
Right.
Charlie Murphy. I started watching it pretty quickly to when it came out because I saw on so I don't know like 2 months ago maybe.
So have you seen all the episodes?
No, but I got through most of it.
Okay.
I probably had a couple episodes left of the second season.
Okay, it's
and so
definitely
the third
something else.
Didn't even have him in it, did it? Like the third season was
Not
kind of
really.
weird.
Yeah, third season
so
was
I
more
think
just
I saw
Charlie
most
Murphy
of it. And I saw the Rick James and I saw the Prince one and all
Those
that
are
stuff.
funny.
So I mean, it's terrible for me to
Classic.
say that I got in time when the whole thing is he got screwed over, but I did see them in time.
But it is good that Netflix did that with Dave to respect that.
I mean, because they probably recognize that they can make so much more money off of keeping current Dave happy than the money they make off of people wanting to watch his old show. Especially since he then in the thing that he put out, he essentially begged everyone to boycott the Chappelle show. and so I mean it makes sense, but you should watch it because obviously he explained it way better than I did.
I'll check it out for sure. Yeah, well, shout out to Dave Chappelle then.
Spread a little love.
I got one shout out for today. Shout out to one of my favorite basketball players as a kid growing up for sure. In my opinion, still to this day, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan, he has donated $2 million that apparently he made from The Last Dance to feed America's hungry. Did you actually watch The Last Dance, Jared?
No, but I was never a huge basketball
Never a
person.
huge MJ guy?
I mean, obviously, I'm very aware of who Michael Jordan
Well,
is.
of course. It's hard not to be. But I watched it a couple weeks ago. I don't know why. I didn't watch it when it first came out. And a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I was flipping through.
I've heard a lot about
it's pretty interesting. You might like it.
I heard he's kind of an asshole. I know that.
Well,
but that's not new.
Well, I don't think you ever get to that level without being a little bit of a jerk.
Else says. They justify it because like, well, this is what a winner's mentality is. And like I remember them saying that like everything he does is like competition based.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Even golfing with his friends.
And he makes a competition out of everything.
Yep. Betting and gambling on sports games. With his friends.
I do know he has a gambling. I don't know if it's a problem. He's so rich. I don't know.
I don't think it's a problem. Yeah, unless he's losing all his money. Right.
But he's addicted to it. I could say probably.
Well, is
that a problem?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. But anyway, so he has given $2 million to Feeding America, which is the nation's largest hunger relief outfit. And they have thanked Michael Jordan for his $2 million gift to the organization, which comes as the pandemic is pushing an inordinate, that's a tough word to say after an inordinate number of Americans into food security. In these challenging times and in a year of unimaginable difficulty due to COVID-19, it's more important than ever to pause and give thanks. The 14-time NBA All-Star said in a tweet sent by the organization, I am proud to be donating additional proceeds from The Last Dance to Feeding America and its member food banks in the Carolinas and Chicago. So yeah,
I mean that's dope.
Yeah, so shout out to Michael Jordan. I think that's awesome.
Did you hear? This is a off the dome shout out. Spread a little love. Shout out to Michael Jordan. Off the dome shout out. Did you hear Dolly Parton?
Oh yeah,
donated
of
millions
course
to the COVID vaccine.
She's the real MVP. Dolly Parton's done a lot.
Yeah.
She's donated, a bunch of money towards the COVID vaccine, which I think has also encouraged other people to donate as well, which is always good. Because she said, it was funny, I watched an interview where she was talking about it, and she said, oh yeah, I only donated a little bit of money. It was
for her, I guess.
it was $1 or $2 million.
That's like $100 or $200 for us.
Right, exactly. What's interesting about Dolly Parton, I didn't know this, there aren't many pictures of her husband and her out with her husband in the news media. Do you know why?
I did not. No, I don't know why.
I didn't know this, but I guess her hair is actually a wig. She actually has naturally brown hair, I guess, and she doesn't look anything like the way she dresses up for.
What does this have to do with her husband?
Well, they go out kind of in incognito mode.
People don't even notice.
Yeah.
Did you also know? I've heard that she's covered in tats too.
Really?
Yeah, I heard she's got a lot of.
I have no
I've
idea.
heard she's got sleeves.
Really?
But she's always wearing long sleeve. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
That's just what I've heard.
Let's see. First, that's hilarious. Second thing there, I typed in there after. Does Dolly Parton have? And tattoos was one of the. Dolly Parton wants to clarify rumors whether she's inked. I do have some tattoos. That's true, but they're tasteful. I'm not a tattoo girl.
Okay.
Who knows?
I have one more shout out.
Okay.
We don't need to get into conspiracies.
Right, about Dolly Parton's tattoos.
She's a national treasure.
Right, she is great. For sure. Much love to Dolly Parton. Shout out.
Mama hoo hoo. Wrong. Spread a little love. I'm getting some real greasy fingers today, and I apologize.
Ooh, that's greasy fingers. I like that.
Never heard that before?
I mean, of course I have, but it's been a while. It's a good one.
Scotland. Shout out to Scotland. That's
okay, what's happening in Scotland?
Scotland becomes the first nation to provide provide free period products for all. Scotland has become the first country in the world to provide free and universal access to period products after a 4-year campaign that has fundamentally shifted the public discourse around menstruation. The Period Products Free Provision Scotland Act, which passed unanimously through its final stage on Tuesday evening, will place a legal duty on local authorities to make period products available for all those who need them, building on the work of councils like North Ayrshire, which has been...
is that how you say it?
That's how they say it, which has been providing free tampons and sanitary towels in its public building since 2018. The campaign bolstered by nationwide grassroots support was spearheaded by Scottish Labour health spokeswoman Monica Lennon, who told The Guardian that this was a proud day for Scotland.
That's awesome. Good for them. Yeah, I think it's crazy the fact that they have like extra tax on some of that stuff, I think, here in the States, which is ridiculous.
What do they call it? The pink tax or something like that? There's some term for like...
Right.
There's a lot of female products that are charged. I think it is the pink tax, because I know also it's the same with like razors are generally more expensive for women than men, and they're kind of the same thing.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
So and it's so interesting to see the directions that other people's like health systems are going to help provide people with access to
what should be basic health care.
Basic health care in relation to what's happening.
And I'm sorry, but that's a human right. I think everybody deserves to be clean and have health care and all that stuff. Yeah. Especially
if you can easily provide it,
Right. Definitely. Yeah. That's awesome. Shout out to Scotland. To Scotland. Well, Jared, should we do what we do best here at the Untranslatable podcast, which is deciphering untranslatables. And an untranslatable is a word, a phrase, an idiom, a proverb that doesn't translate one-to-one into English. And I am going to get us started today, Jared, with one in Portuguese. And I couldn't tell you actually if this one is Brazilian or Portuguese. But here we go. Ter macaquinhos na cabechuva, which means to have little monkeys inside your head.
I mean, that's some form of going crazy, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Or is it? Okay.
Yep. And you would use it like, for example, if someone says something strange, like then you could be like, do you have little monkeys in your head?
Oh, okay. Okay. My second guess would be like a hangover or something. Having monkeys in your head.
That's check. If you say,
oh really?
Yeah, Mamo Pizzi is mom. I think that's how you say it. is I have a monkey.
Oh, that's a
check.
hangover.
That's a hangover. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. My very classy. My my first untranslatable rather is Cantonese, and it's ke nugo un ma. To ride an ox while looking for a horse.
Oh wow! To ride an ox while looking for a horse. I'm trying to think. Visualize that in my head.
Visualize it. I think that'll help.
Yeah,
because
I'm trying to visualize it.
It is not literal,
Well,
but kind of literal.
Oxes aren't as fast as horses, right? I don't think they are. Are they?
Probably not.
Okay.
I can't imagine they would be.
So it's like trying to do something, but you're always falling short. You can't quite catch up to it.
No, but think about it.
No.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
So horses might be considered more valuable than oxen, you know? And but that's not to say oxen are useless.
Is it when you offer something that's not quite of the same value as something else?
No. So think about. So you would have this animal specifically as a. Why would you have an animal like this, historically speaking?
An ox?
Or yeah,
to plow the fields. It's like a work animal.
Yes.
And a horse is more of a race animal or a travel animal,
or maybe a better
animal.
work animal.
So it's
Think
an
about
upgrade.
it that way. Yes. Okay. Well,
But what? Give it to me. I'm not sure what
it is more literal than I think you might think.
Okay.
It's when a person is looking for a better job at their current job.
Oh, I like that.
So it's like,
okay.
I mean, I'm doing work and it works, but I could do better work
with a horse.
Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
looking
that
for
makes
that
sense. That
for the
makes
better
sense.
work.
Okay.
I like that one.
That is a good one. I think that kind of relates to our episode a little bit today. A little bit.
Okay. I mean,
But
whatever you say.
I got another one
I
for
don't see
you.
it.
I got another one for you. This one is Spanish, and it is "Eres bien codo,"
Okay.
which means
Eres bien codo. Mm-hmm. Something about it's a beautiful ending or something.
you are very elbow.
very. Oh, I wasn't even close.
You're very elbow.
Isn't a coda the thing that's in a song, a part of a song? Isn't that
That's a coda.
coda? That's the end of a song. That's why I was thinking the end.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
Yep.
Italian, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
So what? Sorry, what's the literal again?
You are very elbow.
You're just clumsy.
No, this one has to
Not
do-
a good dancer.
This one maybe
You're
would
all
have been
elbows.
No, this one maybe would have been a good one for our Black Friday episode. last time.
Thrifty. Oh, like is he like fight people away from your money? Is it like you're
Maybe. Yeah, it's just when someone is frugal or you're
Okay.
acting frugal.
Interesting.
Yep,
All
you're very
elbows.
Yeah, you're very
Interesting.
elbows. Yeah.
I can't put that one together, but you're not supposed to be able to put all of them together.
Right.
They're not all
exactly.
supposed to make sense.
Exactly.
My last one is Arabic, and it's Ude Ela Waldi Wa Ukri Min Yakul Amin.
Which means?
I curse my own child, but I hate whoever says amen.
What? What? Can
I
you say that
curse-
again? Yeah.
My own child, but I hate whoever says amen. So first of all,
Is it to be a hypocrite?
no. So first of all, this is a kind of a popular thing in the U.S. too. At least it used to be in cartoons for sure. So I curse my own child, but I hate whoever says amen. Now this is a little difficult because you don't go to church,
Right.
but amen is
Lord have mercy.
amen is not only something. Oh, do you go to church actually?
Maybe. Maybe. Secretly.
You go to the
Jared.
same church as that Washington guy?
Yeah, of course.
Amen is not only something you say at the end of a prayer. Mm-hmm. Amen is also something,
It's like an exclamation.
or
When
like
you agree.
Yes,
right?
there you go.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now let me say this again.
Okay.
I curse my own child, but I hate whoever says amen.
Oh, so when you get mad at someone for saying something bad about your kid, but
Yeah.
you can say something bad
There you
about
go.
your kid.
There you go.
Like don't tell me how to raise my kid. Kind of, or don't tell
Yeah,
me,
it could be that, but
Or
it's,
don't-
or it's like say, oh,
or
my,
you can't talk to my kid like
or
that.
it's like, oh, my kid's such a lazy shit, and it's
Right.
like, yeah, your kid is lazy. I can't.
like, what?
and it's like,
Hey.
whoa, Hey, I can
Whoa.
say that, but you can't say like in the
Right.
U.S. I think that's a popular thing.
Get
that
outta
we do,
here.
like, with like siblings. Like,
Right.
hey, only I could talk to my brother that
Right.
way.
Right.
You know, and you
Yeah.
like beat up someone that insults
Yeah.
your brother.
My
but you
brother
always
is such
insult
a
your brother.
wuss. Yeah, he is. Hey, whoa, whoa there.
Don't talk
Don't
about
be calling him a wuss, or we'll make you a wuss. You know, exactly. Oh, I like that one. My last one for you today, Jared, is Italiano. Some Italian for you.
Okay.
Trattare a pesci in faccia.
Okay, well, I do know that pesky is fish.
Yep.
I've seen that on a menu before.
To treat you with a fish in your face. To treat you with a fish in your face.
Is that like to slap someone or just to like insult someone?
Oh, you're getting warmer.
Just to like
If you insult someone, what's the kind of more general thing you would say? Like he, me.
he like
I think you were about
roasted?
to say no.
owned or like
Well, I mean, kind of, but I don't. If I say it, I'll give it away completely.
like scolded.
No. Like for example, we'll use you and I as an example. Okay. So you go home and you're talking to your partner and you're just like, can't believe Chad today. He treated me with a fish in my face. I told him we should do this with the podcast, and he was just like, that is such a dumb idea, Jared. I can't believe you'd even suggest that.
Oh, it's just like undermining someone or like
no.
disregarding disrespect. Not
there we
respecting
go,
someone's
disrespecting.
opinion.
Yeah,
Okay.
or it means to disrespect somebody.
Okay.
To disrespect somebody.
That is pretty disrespectful. Well, it's like
Yeah, treat somebody with a fish in their face.
The Amanda Show. Knock knock. Who's there? Fish in your face. Fish in your face. Who?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with a fish in your face. Or he didn't answer. Like I'm gonna hit you with a fish in your face.
Fish in your face,
Gets
or a
fish in
smack.
his face.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the Dave Chappelle. I think it was Dave Chappelle where it's like, where the five fingers say the face.
Yeah.
Slap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
One of my favorite lines from that episode is when Charlie Murphy kicked him, and Rick James was like, "You make it
Darkness.
seem like you did some sort of Bruce Lee cross kick."
Right.
I don't know why. I love
that's
that
hilarious.
Line. Anyway,
That's hilarious.
why is it important to travel in your 20s, Chad?
Yeah, so well, I hope we talk about travel, and I'm hoping to talk a little
you
bit about
said
exploration.
Exploration more specifically. Maybe I just thought about
meaning,
travel.
well, travel is a big part of it.
But you mean get out of your bubble?
I mean,
more.
well, explore. I think the 20s is the age, in general, Jared, to just try lots of different things. That's kind of what I mean in a way by explore. And traveling is a huge part of that. Another big part of that, too, I think, is trying out and exploring different jobs. I think when you're younger, especially in your 20s, maybe even also like late teens, like 18, 19, I would say like 18 to 24 should really be a time when you're young enough where, you know, in theory, you're probably done with high school. So you have some ground level of education. Now's the time you need to start trying to develop some skills, figure out what you might want to do career-wise, not just a job, but a career. You know, like working as a cashier somewhere, and this is not to disparage cashiers. They're very important. And I worked as a cashier for many years. But, you know, that's not a full-time job for the rest of your life.
And I'd say most people don't figure out what it is they want to do for the rest of their life in college.
Right. And
I didn't.
Well, not even college, but just that age. Because I think there are a lot of people out there
that's true.
who, you know, are 18 or 19 and they might not be going to college, but they're working. You know, I have a friend of mine from high school who worked at a grocery store, and he was one of the managers. So he made pretty good money. But, you know, unless you want to cap out at a certain salary or whatever, you know, it might be smart to also be pursuing some education, or, you know, if you've already kind of hit the perspective glass ceiling for that level, maybe you should be looking at some ways to level up. And I think doing some exploration and a little bit of soul searching in your 20s is really important, especially your early 20s. And I think travel is a big part of it too. Going to different places, seeing how different people live their lives, even in different places. So, you know, if you're an American listening to this right now, just go to a different city for a weekend.
Yeah.
You know, just see some different things. Obviously, not everyone can study abroad or work abroad. But I think especially in your 20s, it's a great time to do that, especially if you're not married and you don't have kids. This might be the only time in your life where you get the opportunity to really do some of those things, you know?
Sure, it's a prime spot. Yeah, and technically, once you're out of high school, there's a good chance you are starting to make like your own real money.
Right.
And your responsibilities are also at the lowest they'll ever be from here. Like you're only getting more and more
Right.
responsibility.
Exactly. Especially as you start working more technical jobs
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
as you get older.
Speaking of, going to trying new cities, there are a whole plethora. I've been to, I'd say, just about most like Western European countries, and I mean other countries than that. But like a lot of those places, I feel like whenever I tell someone I've been there, I have to give the disclaimer that I went as a kid. It's like, yeah, I've been to Switzerland, but I was, I don't know, 12. And I went on a field trip one time, but
Nice.
let me think of another. But it's like, yeah, I went to Italy, but I went there on a field trip too. I went to like some place, but I was 12, and I went with my parents.
Right. It's
like,
different than traveling
They
on
just
your
dragged
own.
along and went to
Right.
I went to France a bunch of times, but I also went to just a bunch of wine vineyards in the middle of nowhere because that's what my parents like to go to.
Right.
And it's like, but that's not really like experiencing a place. I mean, it is, but
Right.
I mean, it definitely is, but it's like
It is, but it's different.
You need to figure out
Yeah.
what it is you want to experience, on
Right.
your own. I think also.
Yeah,
So I
well-
always have to be like,
Right.
I always have to disclaim it. That like, yes, but it was a kid, and I went with my parents. So like, I can't really. I feel like I can't give a honest assessment of it from a 11 to 15-year-old's state of mind. That's
Right.
That's not. I just like I can't give a proper review of any country that
Sure.
I went to.
Well, you were also
at
at
that age.
such a different place in your life, because I
Right.
think about that too. Like my first ever trip to Germany was when I was 14, and it was a life-changing experience for me going there, but also kind of the same. I was lucky that I did a lot of things that I wanted to do because they were kind of the same things a lot of my parents wanted to do.
You went with your
But-
parents. Your parents
yeah.
went too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were there for I think 2 weeks. I got to miss like 5 or 6 days of school back then. I remember that was a big deal,
That's
And yeah, we went all over Germany. We went and see I was at the Zugspitze.
I mean, that's more education than like a solid 3 months at school.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. And it was just a really cool experience. But I can tell you that my times in Germany after that, because I've been to Germany now, I couldn't even tell you how many times now. I guess trying to think back, probably 9 or 10, somewhere around there. Especially, I mean, if you count going over when I was in the Czech Republic, which I do because I was in the country, so I think that counts. But the whole point is, I agree with you. It's very different when you go more kind of on your own terms as an adult,
Yeah.
or someone in your early 20s. Especially, I think the most important thing for someone in their 20s who go abroad for the first time, it's a really liberating experience in that you're kind of on your own completely. Like, I think that's one thing that someone in their 20s needs to experience and learn how to. I like being alone, but there's a lot of people that don't, and I think it's important to have some level of comfort with being alone. Also, being able to travel alone,
Knowing
do things
how
you
to
want.
travel alone is
Yep.
very useful.
It's a big
skill.
one.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't care if you're doesn't matter what your gender is. I think everybody can travel alone. You just have to be smart and take precautions.
Sure.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Maybe there's extra precautions if you're a woman or something, but it's still very doable. It's certainly not doable. Not doable.
Right.
That's a double
But
negative.
right.
Do you-
But go ahead.
Do you believe in the quarter life crisis?
I don't think so. I mean, I remember when I turned 25, I was thinking, wow, I'm halfway to 50.
Granted, though, it doesn't have to be exactly 25.
Yeah, yes, it does. That's a quarter, Jared.
Also, you're just assuming you're going to live to 100. That's bold.
Well, that's true. Well, then in theory, wouldn't a quarter life crisis be somewhere around your teenage years? Depending on how old you get.
Sure, yeah.
I
guess so. That's true.
I
yeah,
mean,
20. It would be like 15 to 20 or something like
Right,
that.
something like that. Which then though 20s are the time to explore because you're at your quarter life crisis, Jared. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, in a way though,
But
jokes
like the
aside,
20s, I think, is just the quarter life crisis decade.
Well, I think the 20s are kind of a weird decade because you go from, not everybody, but the majority of people out there, you go from under your parents' roof, right?
Yes.
Usually from
For the
16
most
to
part,
18.
hopefully.
Right. Now,
As we say from your parents'
right,
home.
right. Well, I was going to get to that. But the other thing is, too, is in different cultures, this could also be, though, different.
Sure,
I
yeah.
had friends in China that, they had friends from their hometown that were still living with their parents. even though they were working full time. So different cultures also, but we're talking more U.S. culture here around 17, 18, 19. You might move out because you're either studying at college or you just move out, you get your own job.
Yeah,
your
that's
own
sort
place.
of like even if you don't go to college, that's sort of like the symbolic time to leave in the United States.
Right. Well, and I think another really important aspect of living in your 20s is having your own place. And I will tell you, it feels a little weird. I love my parents to death, but it does feel weird not having my own place right now. But
Yeah.
because I'm so unsure of what's happening with my job in the future, I just can't really justify right now buying a place. At least I could rent maybe, but right now I have everything I need right here, so I just don't see what the point is.
That's how people end up living with their parents at 40.
Right.
I mean, I have everything I need right here. Why would I need to move? This is
Right.
perfect.
Right.
I also was thinking about you on my drive here about Thanksgiving, about what your Thanksgiving would be like, not facilitated by your parents. Well, like, what would you do?
What would I do?
All Boston Market sponsored,
Probably.
Or-
I don't know. I don't know. I would. Yeah.
or would you try to cook a Thanksgiving dinner?
If I'm eating by myself, probably not.
Sure.
Because there's just I don't see the
that's
point.
for one person.
You
sure.
know, yeah. If I was having friends over, or we were,
Would you host a Friendsgiving?
maybe. I don't know. Most of my friends are in different states though. At this point, I think
This is,
in
you're getting too literal with it.
Right.
I was just,
I
was
would
just
enjoy it.
hypothetically
Yeah.
in my head thinking about
Right.
what a
Friendsgiving.
Chad cooked Thanksgiving would look like.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I can tell you that much.
Because I was thinking about us living alone,
Right.
and I was like, I can't I don't know. I mean, I know you can survive on your own, but cook. You're not a very strong cook, from what I've heard.
Right.
I don't know. I've
Right.
never had your cooking or not, but that's just what I've heard from you.
Right.
So, quarter life crisis. So you don't really think it's real, is what you were saying?
I mean, not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it's real.
Okay.
I'm not real.
What did you do for your
I-
quarter life crisis?
I don't think I bought a Ferrari. No, I don't think it's. I don't think it's that literal, but I think there is definitely a sort of like an existentialism, like you sort of like a reevaluation of one's life once you're living alone, paying your own bills, or have your own responsibilities. You start to, at least for me, once I was at my first job, and it really, that is when it not even like that's when it really started to register to me that I didn't really know what I was really interested in doing job wise, and the idea of and not knowing of whether or not sort of hating my job was just like for a little bit I was
normal
like,
thing.
I think this is just what being an adult is,
Right.
Like I don't think there is the option of like oh, I'm not Will Smith. I don't think there is the option of loving your job like as a normal person. Like I think you get lucky, maybe you could.
Right.
And so I think that confusion and not knowing what it is I wanted to do with my life, and then in conjunction with like the fact that I was making a good salary too. It was just very confusing, where it's like a weird thing to like complain, but also be like, I don't know, but I have everything I need.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people are sort of forced into careers or just don't even know what career they want to have. And that time once you're, that 18 to 20, to 20s area is where you start to be faced with having to decide what that is. And then also the thing about that time, I think also is you said the 20s is a weird time for people. I think some of that also has to do with like is that is the time when people's sort of trajectory start going wildly different directions. People's successes and failures start happening at different paces. And now obviously we're in a social media age, so you kind of can see it,
Right.
where it's like, damn, that person drives a BMW M5.
Right.
He's my age.
So it can be a dangerous game to play.
Or it's
that
like, ooh,
comparison
that
game.
person doesn't look like they're doing great. It's,
Right.
Yeah, where it's like it can go both ways.
I hate to sound rude, but I feel really bad for a lot of my people I went to high school with, where you can see that they're not doing well. It makes you sad. You see
Yeah.
people who are like really overweight, and it's just like wow, how did you get there?
Or like what bothers me, and I don't see it. It doesn't bother me, but what kind of bums me out a little bit, and I don't see it often, but is the people that have gone to college. I went to college with, and still don't have like a career, you know.
Right.
Or not, they were like they still kind of have like the high school job or something like
Right.
that.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think the key too with your 20s is trying to figure out what could you be doing for the next 20 to 30 years that you actually enjoy and you can make a living from it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to say I've gotten very, very lucky, although I forget who the quote is from, but I read an interesting quote. It was from one of the Greek philosophers that was something along the lines of luck is just preparedness and being at the right place at the right time. Which kind of makes sense.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I'm sure we've all gotten lucky in some regards when you haven't been as prepared as maybe you should have been.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's one thing to get this lucky opportunity, but then you have to be able to capitalize on it.
Right. Well, the thing is, though, is I've gotten very lucky and I've been very fortunate that, you know, teaching has been such a fulfilling, you know, job and career for me. You know, but I did not think I would be where I'm at when we were like even students at Albion, for example.
But I think you're also in the minority that you even like what you went to college in. You're like, yeah, I want to do this, and you actually still,
Right.
You know, that's the line that you're in.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And for me, it makes it a little bit easier.
So do you think that has sort of lost some of your faith in the idea of a quarter life crisis because you never? I mean, I'm not gonna say you just had this unwavering confidence throughout your entire lifetime, but like you always kind of knew what path you wanted to be on. You never had like to sort of really wrestle with your career path. Have you?
No, I definitely have. I've definitely thought about it a lot and thought about is teaching really what I want to do? Because let's be honest, it's not one of the highest paying jobs out there. That's for sure.
So you're trying to balance like, I know you like it, but you also it's not the most lucrative.
Right. Well, you have to look at finances, the quality of life you want to have.
Sure.
You know, student loan debt. If you have that burden, you know, there's a lot of things you have to consider. But the thing that's so great about teaching is I have learned so much over the years. You know, I don't mean to bring it back on myself and sound selfish, but I think that has also made me a better teacher in a lot of regards. You know, whereas...
So I don't mean to interrupt, but I guess I do. So maybe not a quarter life crisis, but do you think you have you had some sort of like quarter life enlightenment?
Well, I think for me, the big enlightenment moment, I think I had two of them, actually. One was when we were finishing up with Albion, and I knew I wasn't going the classical guitar route. Because I really had thought a lot about, you know, applying to some conservatories and getting a master's in music performance in classical guitar.
Being like a Michael Schuldstrom of classical guitar.
Right. And then you can teach at universities and, you know, and be a professional guitar teacher. I've still thought about going back and, you know, the thought hasn't left my mind. But the thing is that at the end of the day, I realized I just really wanted to teach. And I would love to be a guitar teacher as well.
But that seems even harder to make a stable living off of than you know, a school teacher.
Right. Or university is even better if you can.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think for me though the big crisis was I'm not going to be doing music for a living, but that has now turned into I'm glad I'm not doing it for a living. Now teaching would be different, but if I was performing, I think when you're a performing musician, it can be a really, really hard way to live because I think that your relationship with music changes a lot because that's what's feeding you. That's what's paying your bills. Yeah. So it's a lot different.
Like Schuldstrom, I don't know why I keep bringing him up, but he said he doesn't even listen to music. Blew my mind.
Right. Well, yeah, because he's always working with it. He's always
like, not
composing,
listening
writing.
to music is kind of an escape from like.
If that's your full-time job, that kind of makes sense.
And I was like, that kind of bummed me out a little bit when he was
but
like,
it makes sense.
It did
true.
make sense. I was like, I guess so.
So that was my first one. My second one was when this was maybe more of an identity crisis, I guess, than a quarter life crisis. But
I think that's part of it.
Maybe. But
it doesn't have to be professional.
When I decided not to go through with the PhD program in German studies.
That's still kind of professional anyway. But
right.
I still okay.
Right. But see, once again, that was tied to my whole identity as, you know, being a professor, being doctor. Sure. You know that's big difference than, you know, and there's nothing wrong with having a master's. It's not an easy thing
because that's what all you have now.
Well, true, but you know,
I don't even have that. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting, you know, and for me, I've been lucky that I can still work during the pandemic.
Yeah,
you know, there are a lot of people. And for a while, I thought, to be honest, I thought I was going to be in pretty dire straits. I'm not even going to kid with you, man. I started looking at like delivery driver jobs, like all sorts of random stuff that I could have done around here. Because I was like, well, shoot, if all I'm doing is this night teaching once in a while for a long term, that's not good.
There was a solid couple months where every time we had like a people-wide meeting at my company, at the end of it, me and one of my close coworkers would message back. It's like, whew, we avoided another one. Like, we didn't get laid off this time.
Right. Yeah. It's scary stuff.
Still employed. Okay.
Right. But I think the importance of exploration in your early 20s is so you can get to a point where we are starting to be at. You know, I have a pretty good idea of what I want to be doing the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years. You know, for sure working in education. But I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have done the things I did. You know, if I wouldn't have applied for a Fulbright, if I wouldn't have done the Fulbright, that was a great year of exploration. You know, spending a year in the Czech Republic, you know, as much as I love my friends and family here in the States, you know, when you get away, you get more of appreciation, you know, for your friends, for your family, for your life back home, because life is just different. But then when you come back as a whole different person in a lot of ways.
But coming back feels good, though.
Yeah, it's a homecoming.
I remember when I came back from Germany, and it did feel good. It was weird because I was like, I felt ready to come back. I was like, I like it in Germany, but I had no idea. They just one day told me, hey, we're going home in a couple of months, you know, at the end of the school year.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And it did feel nice. You feel like you're coming back like a new man, you know, like stepping out the airplane. It's like, oh, I can handle this situation like a whole new person.
And there's
a
different feeling. Like there's a different feeling though too when you hit, like for us as Americans, when you hit U.S. soil. Yes. There's just like something about I'm home. Yeah, exactly.
Even after like living abroad for 4 years,
right,
and being a child, I was still just like, oh yeah, everything feels right again.
But see, that's another thing that I think is important to learn. A concept to learn in your 20s is that the concept of home it changes a lot as you get older.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to come to terms with that because your life is changing a lot too in your 20s.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because in my 20s, I have transitioned to calling Louisiana my home.
Right. And Philly was your home for a while.
Sure. But I mean, when I say I'm going home now, it means I'm going to Louisiana.
Right. But that means more you're going to see your family and your parents.
Yes. But that's the thing, where it's like the idea of what home is has transitioned out of just I'm fully from Michigan.
Right. I get very offended as a fellow Michigander every time you say that.
Here, I'd say soda.
Right. Watch it. We might have to mute Jared's microphone. People saying soda.
But like, even though this is very comforting for me to be here, and it still feels like home. It's like I really like my entire family for the most part is in Louisiana. So if that kind of feels like home to me. My parents own a home there and live there full time. So, like, that's their home. That's where they grew up, you know, so they're back in their home. They kind of actually did go back home. And so it just feels very, you know, even though I've never lived there, because I've been there so much and now my whole family lives there, it feels very familiar, you know?
Right.
And
that makes sense.
It feels the most like home because that's, you know, now Michigan, I have some friends, but it's not like, you know, I don't have like some sort of huge community or something.
Right. Yeah, it's very different. That's for sure. Yeah. Let's see some other. So yeah, I think job exploration is a very important type of exploration in your 20s.
We talked about travel, and we talked about actually jobs kind of fit in with this too. I think a huge part of this exploration in your 20s is doing it for the gram.
I kind of dislike that.
I think that's a huge motivator.
Yeah,
for a lot of things.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. You know, when I was younger, whenever I traveled, I would definitely post stuff on Instagram.
Course,
you know,
of course.
So you're right.
It's fun to flex.
But I think that maybe I'm just getting older, Jared. Maybe that's what it is. But I think it needs to be a little bit deeper than just the Insta flex.
I'm definitely having less and less interest in strangers. Like that's why we're so bad at social media because we don't care. Like we have to care for this podcast, but we don't care
about social media.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but I mean, we don't. Yeah. And I think it kind of shows, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like I want to care more for the podcast, but I also don't want to care more because I don't, because I don't care. And I think as I'm leaving my 20s, I'm definitely having less interest in like
social media in
showing
general, or
essentially strangers stuff, and not even some sort of like these people, like it's like I need to like be more private of my personal life, just because it's like, who cares what these people think? I don't like anyone that I'd actually show these pictures to. I probably talk to him on the phone, and I can just text it to him. Like, it's just like such a weird thing. It's very weird. I think
some of it, the novelty is worn off too a little bit. When you think about when social media,
the novelty's worn off.
You don't think so?
Social media is going strong.
Well, I'm not saying
for us maybe.
Well, right. That's what I mean.
I don't think
Well, no, it's obviously going very strong. But I think maybe.
Oh, you mean personally?
Yeah, personally. Okay. Yeah, I just don't find it fun to like. I don't know. I just don't get a bunch of enjoyment like taking a bunch of random pictures and then you know what I mean.
You're one of the lucky few, I think.
I guess
I enjoy a cool picture every now and again.
Right.
And I understand like oh, this is cool. What else am I going to do with it? I guess I can just pop it up and other people can appreciate it.
Right.
But
I was very disappointed you didn't post up your Thanksgiving spread.
Which, I'll take a picture of you for the Instagram.
Oh, for the gram?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta.
You need to
now
actually
I have to say something or something.
Yeah.
Can
you look at me?
I don't know, Jared. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's so embarrassing.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. I feel like
that's
a lot
big motivator.
Right.
Job-wise, people loves to flex a job, flex a new product.
Right.
People love to flex their hot dog beach leg pictures.
Oh, you gotta love the hot dog beach legs. Yep.
Standing. People love this.
That is why I go into the gym, Jared, is to get those nice hot dog beach legs on my pictures.
Oh yeah.
What you got to do is you got to just print off a picture of a pretty, blue sea with maybe a little bit of sand. Just put that up by your hot dog legs and take a picture, and you can do that in the middle of the winter, and you're good to go. But I think the exploration. I think the one thing I would caution people if they're especially listening to this and they're in their like 18s or young 20s is that exploration is really important, but you also need to be smart about it. And sometimes I think there should be a purpose. Like you can't just willy-nilly do whatever you want in your 20s. And then if you're in your 30s and then you have no career, you have no, I think by the end of your 20s, you should try to.
Sure. How long could that even last?
Right. Well, you'd be surprised.
I never understood those people that like go backpack through Europe for like 2 months, between high school and college, or like college and the first job. I don't get that at all.
Well, I think that's different. I'm talking more about like if you're in your 20s and you use the excuse like, oh, I'm just in my 20s, so I'm just like if you are just bouncing from crappy job to crappy job without really thinking about what do I want to do.
Do you know someone that does that?
I mean, I've seen people that I went to high school with that are still kind of in these shitty minimum wage paying, jobs. I guess so.
Well, and you think they're waiting until 30? That's when they're an adult?
Well, I think they just haven't thought about it enough. They just use it. Well, I'm in my 20s and I don't have a ton of experience, which is true, but just it's like
not thinking ahead.
Right. You got to think more ahead and try to lay out where do you want to actually get to? Because you don't want to be a McDonald's, and this is nothing to disparage any fast food people, but do you really want to work at a McDonald's for 20 years? But maybe, hey, if you want to become the manager of that place and working there will get you towards that, I think that's actually a smart thing.
Sure.
So that's why I think we need to be smart about our exploration. Go to different countries, travel, try different jobs, do different things, but also, I think what a lot of people do in their 20s too is they party too much. And we definitely had our fun, but I think some people, like when I just look at some people on Instagram when they're like in their late 20s, especially if they've already had kids and they're still out like partying all the time.
Not a good look.
I don't mean to sound judgy here, but I'm kind of like, what are you doing? Partying is fun, I guess, but I think there's a lot more to life than just getting drunk on the weekends.
I hear you. I think sometimes I feel the opposite about myself. Sometimes I don't I don't like that you're just now lecturing to some made up shithead. I will say this. Sometimes I feel like I've been too frugal, like too overly concerned with making sure I have some sort of like financial comfort, and I to a fault, and I'm like, and I need to maybe not need to, but it would behoove me to focus more on on experiences and not saving, not just hoarding a bunch of money.
Right.
You know? Not that I'm just some sort of rich guy
Right.
hoarding a bunch of money, but even though just not being afraid to use money for experiences is
Right.
something that I'm not good at.
Well, I mean, your net worth of $23.6 million, should get you a couple decent experiences, I would say.
I guess so. I just feel like once I hit 25, I'll feel really
Right.
comfortable.
Right,
And then
for
I
sure.
can start spending a little bit of
Definitely, for sure. You're right, though. I think there does need to be a balance of one thing I actually do regret, though, when I was younger is I wish I would have put more money away
yeah, I guess so.
when I was younger. But you know what? I went to some really fun
What
concerts.
difference does it make?
Right. I guess.
I don't think it really matters. to
I
be
mean,
honest.
I don't really regret it, but I think if I were to give my younger 20 self advice would be set up a savings account back then where you just put a little teeny bit in, and by now
Sure.
it would have been worth.
I think that that's more of a benefit. Yeah, obviously you'd have some money and it'd help be a good base or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just helps more than anything. Probably build up the habit.
Yeah, that's true.
More than even the benefit is more that you get into the right routine of doing that and
Right.
sort of learning how to save money rather than the benefit being at 18 you have I don't know $8,000 or whatever, 10
Right.
grand, which is nice obviously.
Right.
But you can go through 10 grand fast too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the worst thing about money. The biggest lesson to learn is it's much easier to spend it than it is to save it.
Yeah.
Usually the rate going out is not the same rate as it's coming in, unless you've developed a bunch of multiple streams of income. And
Did you see Elon Musk is now the second richest person.
I did
in the
see that.
US,
Yeah. Yep.
Passing Bill Gates.
Yep. Pretty
Bezos is
crazy
one, I
stuff.
imagine.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, but yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, he's not even American.
Right.
I mean, maybe
he's South
he's a
African.
citizen,
He
but-
probably is by now.
Yeah.
I would assume the U.S.
Probably, if they're calling them the second richest American,
right,
it's probably
right.
is,
Would make
actually.
sense, and he's been here for a long time too. So
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, sure.
And he definitely would be able to pass the citizenship test. I would say.
You think so?
I think so. I think he could probably do
you think?
okay.
Well, what makes you so confident?
I mean, he's hella smart. What do you mean? He'd be.
I question some of this belief that he's so smart.
Doesn't he have like a degree in like engineering?
Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure he does. I thought he did. And I would say you have to be
understand
pretty.
that. To get the degree, sure.
Right.
But is he? How much engineering involvement does he have in any of his businesses? I wonder.
I
Just when
couldn't
people
tell
talk
you.
about how much of a
Right.
genius he is, I really
Right.
wonder. I was like, yeah, sure, he got a degree, and maybe he did some engineering when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, technology moves fast, and I
Right.
just wonder how. He's to me, he's just like a business person now more than like a
Probably.
scientist. I just
Probably.
hate when people be like, we're talking about like, oh, my Tesla has full self-driving. Thanks, Elon Musk. And I was like, yeah, I don't think he sat at any computer program, spending any time programming this.
Yeah,
thing.
I have
Okay.
no idea. No idea.
Shout out to Elon Musk.
Let's see here. So other reasons why we need to explore in our 20s.
Well, to combat ignorance, that's a big one.
Yeah, and travel does a lot of that. I think. I also think working, like, I think it's really important. This maybe is actually more for your
Working
late
really
teens.
does because you have to learn how to. It puts you in your first. I mean, I guess you can obviously work before, like your 20s, but having to work with people you hate or people that you don't get along
dislike.
with or that are terrible at their
Yep.
job.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't worked with anyone I hate, but I've worked with people that are terrible at their job. I've been terrible at my job
Right.
before,
Sure.
and it's not fun. It's
Right.
not fun, but it's I feel like that 20s time is when you're really in especially once you're no longer in like a job where you can just quit, and get another. You're not on one of those like I
Right.
can quit and get another one jobs. Having to learn to work with other people is exhausting, and I don't think I'm there yet. Let's be honest with you,
Right.
but I'm better at it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it takes practice, but I think when you're very young, very young, when you're in your 20s, it's really good to work different jobs, also to go to different places, travel, because you're not only will have to work with a lot of these people, get along with them, but you can also get to know them, hear their stories, learn from them. I think your 20s should really be a time when you look at everyone that you meet and interact with and think, what can I learn from this person? Jared's giving me a mad
This is so
side eye,
corny.
but I think it's true. I think there's
Why just your 20s though? Shouldn't
I
you
think
be
you
doing
should-
that throughout your
let
entire...
me rephrase. Maybe the 20s is the time when you start to build that habit. Because I do think also if you are interested in other people, it's easier to make friends and easier to get along with people.
I'd say it's also fair that you're at least that's the 20s, post high school or college is the first time when you have to like make your own friends.
Right.
It,
Yeah.
It's insane how easy it is to make friends in high school and college.
Well, right, because you're just there by proxy.
Right.
You're in the same place.
Yeah, and it's but like you have to make a legitimate effort to make friends after that. And so in that sense, I guess I hear you. It's just when it came out of your mouth, it sounded real corny. But you can't be quick to just like you have to. It's so weird making friends in your 20s too. As I've said before, probably when I was living in Philly, it's easier to like date someone than it is to make a friend.
Right. Yeah.
And it's so weird. That's that like the line between like I don't know, coming off thirsty to a quote unquote new friend, or like how much you expose about yourself. It's just such a weird situation.
Right. Yeah.
I think I blew that in my 30s or my 20s, and it's showing.
I mean, I don't have a huge circle of friends either, though.
But you're very social, you know.
Yeah. But I think
the
that's
reason you don't have a huge circle of friends is I feel like more just because you like your job takes you to so many different
well, my friends are spread all over
locations.
the place. Yeah.
You don't have a chance to really establish like a base, you know.
Right. Hopefully at some point. I'm hoping depending in the next couple of years, I'm hoping to get more of a steady, stay in one place kind of job for a while.
That's not what it sounded like when we talked earlier today. You were telling me about.
Well,
you told me about like 4 different countries.
Well, yeah, we'll see though. We'll see. I mean, it all depends on what's going to happen after May. We'll just have to see. But I think the other important aspect of your 20s is, you know, like I said, to meet a lot of different people, and that could be for social reasons. That could be for relationship or romantic reasons. You know, it could be for work reasons. I think the key in your 20s, though, is you should really try to be transparent with the people you meet, because your 20s is an age where, you know, some people start to get married, some people start to have families. So you need to really be transparent what you want out of a relationship.
Relationships become real.
Right.
High school relationships aren't real.
Well, I'll never forget what I told one of my exes a couple of years ago on our first date. I asked her, "What are you looking for on our first date?"
What are your intentions?
Right, because I was just like, I wasn't trying to waste any time. I wanted to know, are you looking for something serious?
Would you do 17-year-old Chad do that?
No, probably not. So, I mean, 17-year-old Chad had no idea what he was doing. You know, yeah. Whereas with, you know, even then I was 22, 23 when I asked my, one of my exes that question. And I think a lot of that, if you just want to have a casual relationship, I think that's fine, but be upfront with people about it. If you want something more serious, be upfront about it. It's really important to do that because your 20s are such a tumultuous time in general because, you might be moving to completely different places, having completely different jobs. You're just starting on your career and kind of your adult life.
I've overcomplicated so many situations, especially like relationship situations, just because I wasn't honest with what I wanted,
So what were you more? You wanted something more casual, or did you want something more
serious?
It's
not even about that. It's just like more trying to like tell a person what they want to hear or like make a person feel good.
Sure.
Rather than
that's hard to do, especially when you're younger. Is trying to learn how to be
honest with what I actually want.
Right.
Where it's like not just saying it, but like, all right, let me figure out what it is, how they feel, and then from there I'll see where my response goes. Instead of just being honest.
So have you gotten better as you've gotten older?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I still, yes, I've gotten better at that. But I still I still shut down. Like I'm still a shut downer. But I'm definitely, I think better at that.
Yeah, I guess I'm also, I don't know if...
I've been challenged a lot recently, too.
Right.
Damn.
Right. Little ninja. Yeah. Well, see, my thing is, I guess the one thing I learned, and this also goes back to, it's important to meet lots of people, and I wouldn't say it's important to, I don't like the message, it's important to date lots of people, but I do think...
that oversimplifies it.
Right. But I do think it's important to meet a lot of people and keep your mind open when it comes to dating and relationships and depending on what you want. And like I said, it all goes back to that transparency thing. And if you don't know what you want, I also think it's okay to say that, but also be clear. I don't know what I want, but at this time in being, I want X, Y, or Z, right? But anyways, the one thing I learned, I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to put her on blast like that, but one thing I learned in my 20s, what I don't want out of a relationship or myself as a person is to be one of those people that constantly argues and yells. I think I sense that relationship, I have not once really raised my voice to someone I dated.
That seems so... opposite of what I know of your personality. I don't think I've ever seen you raise your voice.
I'm not
So-
generally a super angry, loud person.
So I mean,
usually.
obviously, no one should want to raise their voice in a relationship, but I can
Right.
imagine how that could be problematic for you, since that's
Right.
not even in your, at least from what I've seen, it's
Right.
not really in your personality.
But see, if I wouldn't have gone through that experience in my earlier 20s, I wouldn't have realized that. And I also wouldn't realize what isn't. Sometimes you got to learn what's bad to know what's good.
Wow.
You know, I mean, sorry, I know that's corny as well, Jared, but
that's
it's
actually
true.
Not as bad as some of the other stuff.
You know, so these are coming right off the top of the dome here, Jared. These are not written. These are no notes.
I see that. I
You
see
know,
that.
it's from the heart, Jared.
I
from the
understand
heart.
them. That's why I'm
You know.
only rolling my eyes at some of them.
Oh, good.
Not that
Not all.
one. Not that
not all of them. Yeah, but you know, and I think part of your 20s is there's a level of it's okay to try new things to some extent. I will say though, I do have concerns about some people that go absolutely crazy, especially in college, especially with like the number of partners they might have. I have some concerns about that health wise. You know, I think some people aren't always the safest
I think
about some of that.
I don't really. That doesn't really bother me. I mean, I guess it probably should, but I'm more think about like the post college party people that were like party hits in college,
Right, and then they just
like,
keep on partying.
I mean, I know you do because I've been around them, but we both have friends where it's like you go out for beers and it's like I don't want to chug this.
Right.
I don't really want to do 4 shots in a row.
Right.
I was like, and I've definitely been in situations like that, and I think just I don't know. It's not even like I'm some sort of like a what is it, teetotaler? It's like
What is that?
someone that doesn't that like doesn't drink, I believe.
Okay. Huh.
Like I'm not I'm not some prude,
Right.
but it's just I don't know. I don't even know what the word is for.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I
don't wanna
think
sound like I'm
in
preaching.
your 20s it's good to go out and have some fun, but I would honestly say, man,
So-
after 24 or 25, really like regular partying, and honestly, even to that long,
What do you consider partying? Like going to the club?
I mean, like going to a bar or a club or even a house party.
I can't go to a bar.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Okay. You can't. You go to a bar or a club or a house party, and you drink yourself into oblivion until the wee hours of the morn. The wee hours of the morning.
I see.
I think doing that consistently from your 20s, especially like 21, 22, up to 25, 26, 27, and continuously doing that. I just don't think it's good for your health. I think it's not the most productive way to
Have you ever
spend your
seen
time.
like those chuggers on like Instagram that like chug booze? Those always bum me out. There's one I always get.
It's just kinda
recommended.
sad.
I think I always get recommended him because I always click on the recommendations.
Nice, nice. I mean, that's how the algorithms kind of work.
But he does all this ridiculous shit where he'll like take 6 beers and like funnel it into one funnel
Right.
or like chug like a fifth of like Jaeger.
Right.
And he looks like he's my age. Granted,
Right.
he's probably like 23. He does his age terribly.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, the alcohol doesn't help that either.
But I just like I don't. There's whenever I watch these, I'm like I just feel sorry for this guy, and in my head I'm like this guy is definitely an alcoholic. And I was like you can't just like the volumes that this person is drinking. This is not natural.
Right.
And I don't understand why his friends are encouraging.
Right. It's
I would honestly be like, dude, you have a problem, and I can't hang out with this because it makes me really uncomfortable.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch you die.
Well, and it's not a good. It's just not a good relationship to have, and it's
Yeah.
not a. And he's damaging his health and potentially his future too.
There were a couple people
Yeah.
like that in high school where I wasn't smart enough, but I was still like, I think this person might have like a legit
Right, have a problem. Yeah.
that has nothing to do with just partying at college.
Another important aspect of your 20s and the importance of exploring and trying new things, Jared, would be to hopefully build better habits. And from the experiences you have and from the people you meet and the things you learn, you can
I
build
floss
better
regularly.
habits. Oh, that's something I don't do. Maybe I should start doing that.
But you
I'm
don't
sure
even
my
have any
dentist
cavities.
would agree. I don't.
Perfect
I'm
teeth.
lucky. Well, not perfect. The
Okay.
bottom is a little crooked, but I have an overbite, so
Yeah, that's
hides
no big
it.
deal.
Sneaky.
You have nice, beautiful gums
Sneaky.
too.
Well, I do brush them and I use mouthwash, so they're good hygiene. But the key with exploring in your 20s, I think, would be, if I were to kind of break it down, explore excitedly, explore moderately, and explore safely. And the last one, I'll give you a fourth one. Explore purposefully as well. Maybe that one's not as fun sounding, but
that sounds like something I like a church meditation to explore.
You didn't realize I'm starting the untranslatable gospel. We're going to start Sunday sermons.
Explore purposefully in the footsteps of Jesus.
Who said we were going to choose Jesus as our central figure here?
I'm just going off of my experience.
That's fair.
Most of my church experiences sounded just like that.
Amen.
Explore in righteousness.
And he will rise again. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
Bow down to the Lord Savior.
You sound kind of like Eddie Murphy in Shrek.
Yourself.
As Donkey.
I mean, I went to a lot of black churches, so I mean, it's probably... Yeah, it probably is a lot like, do you love her?
Right.
Do you need her? Do you want to hold her? Did you got to?
That's a pretty good impression.
A lot of church.
That's pretty good.
I love Shrek.
Oh man, great!
I
great.
can quote the shit out of Shrek.
Right, great movie. Oh man, yeah.
All right, dude. That's all I have for the importance of.
But yeah, building good habits I think is important in your 20s, and exploring can expose you to a lot.
What do you
of
mean
different
good
things.
habits? You mean like hygiene habits?
I mean just life habits, like seeing how people like.
I feel like I've gotten cleaner. I'm a better. I'm not perfect, but I feel like I'm as I get older, I'm a more on the ball cleaner.
Okay. That's definitely good.
That's a healthy habit.
That is a good habit. I would say another good habit is not being afraid to do what you want and figure out
YOLO
and figure out how to do it in a reasonable manner. So what I mean by this is, if you want to take a trip for a couple weeks somewhere, in your early 20s, learning how to budget for a trip and doing all that is key.
I wrote down make travel a habit. Is a
there
big
you
one
go.
for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to build that sort of expectation. I think there is something to once, like, you have to start early, and then you sort of have this expectation of like, this is what I do. But if this is what you do, then you have obviously be prepared for it.
And the other thing that a lot of people need to consider in their 20s is this is kind of the time when you have, I would say in some ways, the most adult time, unless you do stay single the rest of your life. Because usually most people don't stay single the rest of their lives, which means they get married, they have kids,
Is it true most
they have a
people
job.
don't stay single? You think more people get married than don't?
I would argue most people probably either get married and have children, or have children. One of those three things.
Okay, sure.
A lot of people.
Okay,
And so
sure.
once you have a kid, or if you're married or a family, and I'm not saying anything bad about that. I think that's great. I would love to have a family at some point.
Okay.
But the thing is that when you're in your 20s and you don't have some of those things, it's that is the golden time to do some traveling, to try some things that maybe make you feel a little uncomfortable or you're not sure about. I would rather have tried something and realized, I don't really like that, than always wondering, man, if only when I was in my 20s, when I had that interesting job offer.
Well, that's why I feel like sometimes I'm a little overly frugal, as I said.
Right.
Where it's like, is it worth saving this money to like for some sort of level of quote unquote safety versus experiencing this thing? And I think I went a little too far to the safety zone.
I'm telling you, at some point, I want us to do an untranslatable Southeast Asia and/or just untranslatable either Bali, Thailand, one of those countries.
Okay.
I would love to go check out,
cool.
and it'd be fun to go with you and check those out.
I'd be down.
Especially I only got one. I don't even have an entire year left, bro. So we'll see. I might not even be able to travel.
Yeah,
really,
they might not even be allowed into the country by the time before you exit your 20s.
Exactly. But I think that's the key with your 20s is taking advantage of some of that time. I could have easily said no to the offer I got to go work in the Czech Republic.
Sure.
Part of me thought about, well, maybe I'll just stay here and try to find a job, and also a big part of it was the serious relationship I was in at the time. I can tell you though, in hindsight, I do not regret it.
Turns out it wasn't so serious.
Well, I guess not. Yeah. Well, but I think that your 20s is a time to learn about yourself, learn about what kind of relationship you want with other people. Where do you really want to go? And the 20s is a good time to just test things out.
Yeah.
Like that old Ethiopian restaurant by my apartment in Vienna, as you probably remember, taste and see,
taste and see,
but it's a
yes.
test and see on the one side, you know, and that's kind of what you have to do is you have to test and see and find out.
Did you ever actually go to that place?
Yeah, we went the second
right,
semester.
yeah,
I got
you
some
told me.
stories
Yeah,
from that place.
I remember
that was a
now,
cool
yeah.
place though. A couple of those guys, I think they were Ghanaian. They were awesome
Yeah.
dudes.
But that was like their hang.
It was.
Yeah.
But see, once again, that's the cool thing about, you know, it doesn't really matter what your age is, but checking out and trying to find some of those spots where you can eventually have your own hang, you know, once it's safe to go out and have your own hangs, you know, and I think we'll
sure.
get there eventually.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, you know, your 20s are a great time to, you know, I mean, you should be learning always, but I think your 20s, it's really when you are, I think, at that
Because
age.
That's the first time where it's self-guided learning.
Right.
For the most part.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, you know.
Exactly. That's a very good point, Jared. Very good point.
And you have to decide what it is you want to learn and then actually go after it. Kind of
Right.
like, not to brag, me learning the piano.
Right. And
Which I've been
also
playing recently.
Right. And also what skills you'll need for your job and your profession. You know, I have to say, I think I've gotten pretty good at working people through problems, even just basic technical problems now. The amount of faculty I've worked with that are above 50, and I have to tell them, no, click here. You know, there's also a level of patience you begin to learn too.
Yeah.
From those types of things. But
Sure.
I kind of enjoy it. You know, we may joke that it drives us crazy occasionally, but at the end of the day, you know, I really do enjoy working with people. And so finding out through trial and error in your 20s is such a great opportunity. And also another thing I would recommend would be see if you can find some internships or even just some volunteer work or just to try some new things. Like I volunteered at a refugee center in Lansing back in the day. I loved it. It was great. If they would have had some openings for positions, I might have taken one. You know, and so trying out new things, different jobs, or even just trying something unexpected. I think a lot of people, they feel, especially people who have more set friend groups, they feel like they're this certain person and they can't go do that thing. Like maybe if you're known as that video game dude, but then one weekend you're like, you know what, I want to rent a kayak or canoe or go to a museum. Some of your friends or some people might hold you back and say, well, like, what are you doing? You know, they might even give you crap for trying something new. But don't let the naysayers and don't let the people who think they know who you are determine who you want to be, if that makes sense.
I've never felt so motivated in my life.
There we go, Jared. All right, we're going to go hit the gym after this now that we've talked about this, or maybe Jared will play me some tunes on the keyboard back there. I've been waiting for him to give me a private untranslatable concert with some good Mozart and Chopin and maybe a little Tchaikovsky. Rachmaninoff, he had the huge piano hands.
I did not know that.
Anyways, I digress, and we're getting way off topic here. But let us know how you've done some exploration in your 20s at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can slide into our DMs on Twitter, untranslatable1, the number one, and give us some tips on how to explore, especially now during the current times we're in. Got to be exploring safely. That is for sure. Also, check us out on YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast. And lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So, as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and dos vidania.
Yeah.
And stay exploring, Jared. I feel like you probably feel like you're on a little mini exploration when you make the little hike out here sometimes. Do you ever take a different route, or do you always go the same way?